All right. Sorry, I'm just trying to set it up again. It happens. I think if I set it up once, I can be able to switch systems anytime. So here npm run dev. I know it is going to crash, but let me just set it up. It's going to crash because there's no MongoDB URL. So this error message open URI must be this parameter this. I need to copy the MongoDB URL, and to copy that URL I need to also create my .env file here. You know the .env is not pushed to GitHub, so I will need to create the file here again, .env, and I have to define my port. Normally I'm supposed to store that env somewhere where I can easily access it, maybe on Google Drive or anywhere, but for now I don't have that time, so I'm just going to write them again. That should do it. MongoDB. Okay. So no other questions. Is it that everybody understood the whole login procedure, the schema thing? And I was actually saying, you people are still plenty. The project community manager was asking me, what am I doing? Why is everybody still plenty? Because we started with 114, we still have over 100 and something persons, and this is the 9th week. Normally by the 5th week, we're supposed to have it, like it would have been half, because a lot of persons are scared of the backend. And so by the 5th week would have gone half, but this is the 9th week. Lectures are supposed to end next week. And are you kidding me? Google account. Share. Okay. Yeah, I remembered something. Now some persons, I don't know if you have actually started. Please, this is the point. This is the point to seriously. This is the point where you need to push out your stuff.
When you were drawing it down, guy, you draw it into my frame and you saw it. You drew it into my frame and you saw it. When you were drawing down, you didn't see that you entered my frame.
Okay, yes. Okay. I just hope so. Now, if you've not started posting on maybe LinkedIn, Twitter, TikTok, any of that, just post, keep posting. The moment you understand CRUD and then you understand authentication, you're eligible for any developer role. And one thing you should not do is this idea of I'm a junior developer, I'm a senior developer. Don't do that. For backend, there is no junior developer. My voice is cracking. I just hope all is well. So there is no junior developer, no senior developer. I think it's because I'm doing so many things at the same time. Let me copy this MongoDB URL. And as a matter of fact, I think I had one on GitHub. I can use the one on GitHub. I have one on GitHub. Let me go and check it out. Or if you have that, you see, my internet is bad. Yeah, I think, sorry, I'm trying to do so many things at the same time. That is why the internet is a little poor, but it's going to stabilize. Just give me a minute to copy and set up the project. Let me set up the project. It's going to be clear. Or if you have that my MongoDB URL, you can send it to me here on the chat, so I don't have to be doing back and forth in these two places. That is called, can't remember the name of that project. This one is trying to open, this one is trying to open. Which one should I open? I think I should post this one. Go with this one. Can't remember the name of that project. What is the name? What is the name? Is it called test? I think it's called test. I'm trying to copy my URL. I can't find it. Yeah, I should is this mine? Okay, let me use this one here. I think this is mine. Thank you. So we don't have to waste time. Where I post this one. Alright. I think this one is more correct. Yes, week 6 has not been graded, and that is because as at the time I was grading, I didn't see your own. But when I start grading again, I'm going to grade your week 6. So the time I started grading, I didn't see yours, but I'm going to grade again, so I'll see it. Now I want to restart the server. Ctrl C, restart. Yeah, MongoDB is connected. So what did we do in the last class? I think one major thing we learned was I think I started recording, but let me confirm. Yes, I have. Major thing we learned was how to use try catch. Try catch is very, very important on the back end. Otherwise, a user's action can actually cause your server to crash. And once your server crashes, nothing else is going to work until you restart the server, which you don't want to be doing. So this is sign up. We are accepting the user payload. We're accepting the email, the password, first name, last name from the request body. Then we're validating that there is an email. We're also validating that there is a password. And we try to find the user's account if they already have an existing account, and validate when they have an existing account to return that the user account already exists. And then next, we need to validate the password. We try to validate the password. And we also try to hash the password with bcrypt. Yeah, this is what I was going to say. Getting a job, it's actually hard because some person don't really know what to say in job interviews. They don't even know how to position themselves. When you apply for a job, what is more important is your experience. It's not what you studied, your experience. And you can list out a number of projects you've worked on. It's not going to move the interviewer. You list out the project. I worked on e-commerce, I worked on fintech, I worked on this, I worked on that. It's not going to move the interviewer. But somebody who mentioned only one project, but went in details to mention the technologies will get the job before you. And what do I mean by details? For example, I built a fintech, not fintech, it can be anyone. I built a real estate platform. We set up the server with Express, connect to MongoDB database using Mongoose. We also hash the user password with bcrypt. So you need to list out all of these technologies that you use. People who are software developers that write job application, what is it called, information, they do put it in their description, but some do not. So, but when you use packages, when you use dependencies, you know what we use them for. If you are making posts online or if you are sitting before an interviewer, you mention those dependencies, those packages, and what you use them for. Now, you see, most times we do validation. That it's very important that if you're in an interview, you need to mention that you validate things. You run validation for when there is password. Like, mention details, mention what you do and why you do them. Even if it's one project, it can get you the job. So whenever you are posting things online, mention the things you use, why you use them, what you did with them. It gets you the job faster. Instead of saying, I need to work on 10 projects, 11 projects. No, only one project is enough to get you the job. All right. We hash the user password, we save their information here, and then we return a status. The last thing is to send an email. We are going to do that. But before we do that, let's talk about user login. So if you are okay with me and you can hear my voice, please drop a thumbs up so that we continue with the user login. Drop a thumbs up so we can continue with user login. All right. Thank you. So the second aspect is the user login. I'm going to start an API, but it's going to be a post request, and it will be /login. By default, it's always called login. So login is going to have a callback function. This callback function should accept the request and the response object. The request and the response object. It should also be async because we're going to make use of our wait. So what do I want to do? I want to destructure the user email and password because they must be sending email and password to log in. So destructure it from the request body. We are getting there. When you send email, that is actually email verification. When you send email, is an email verification. When you verify the email, you need to authenticate it. Authenticate it is where that whatever you send to their email, you will decode it and know who the user is. We're going to get there just gradually. So here I'm destructuring their email and password. The first thing I want to do is to try and find the user. I'll try and find the user that they have an account. I'll wait find user .auth.find one. Find one, and I want to find them by the email. So after you get their email, you use that email to find them. Now, if they don't have an account, that means if there is no user. If not user, if there is no user, you want to return. There is no need to proceed. Return a response with a status code of 404 because it's not found. .json and a message that will say user account does not exist. Does not exist. So that's the first step. When the account does not exist. But if this doesn't run, it means that the user has an account. They have an account with your platform. The next thing you want to do is to compare their password, to compare whether this password they are sending you now does it match the password you have already saved on the database? So how do you do that? You come back here and say const is match. Is match is just a variable I want to use, and I want to bring in bcrypt because it's only bcrypt that can tell me whether the password match. Bcrypt.compare. I pass in these two password, user.password. Yeah. So this password here is this one they are sending in now. Then this user.password. Now this is called optional chaining. That question mark there is called optional chaining. What optional chaining means is, if for example there is no password on this user, calling user.password will not cause an error. Normally I'm supposed to do it like this: user.password, meaning I'm taking the password that is saved on the user object. Now this user object that is saved here, you know, in this auth there is a key called password. There's an email, there's first name and last name, and all of them are saved here inside the user. So I'm trying to access the password inside this user here, so I'm calling user.password. But most times, if there is no password on that user, calling it like this might throw an error. So in order for it not to throw an error, I add what is called optional chaining. Optional, that is question mark before the dot. If there is user and there is password, it will not throw an error. If there is no password, it will also not throw an error. So this is like handling a case. But what I'm doing here mostly is telling bcrypt, you are the one that hash this password. Come and compare the two passwords. Do they match? So that means the value of is match, from the way the variable is named, is match. You know that the value is going to be a boolean, true or false. It's going to be a boolean, true or false. So if these two things match, it will return true. If they don't match, it will return false. So that's the second aspect. The second aspect is to compare the password that they are passing in and the password that is saved on the database if they match. So you want to check when it does not match. If not, is match. So you are checking when they do not match. That is why I'm putting this negation here. This negation here means for when it does not match. Please always note when I use negations and when I don't. So I'm checking when it doesn't match. That means when this is going to return false. If it returns false, I want to return. There is no need to proceed. Res.status, and I will return a status of 400. That is a bad request. JSON message. Now, this JSON message, I'm always tricky here. What I do is I tell you email, or I'll just say incorrect email or password. So I usually go this way: incorrect email or password. The reason why I say incorrect email or password is the person who is typing this email and password may be trying to guess somebody's account. I don't want to tell them that the email is correct, because if you return incorrect password here, you are automatically telling them that the email is correct. The password is the issue. So try and guess the password. But when you say incorrect email or password, you keep them wondering. Maybe the email is not correct, or maybe that email is not what was used. But the owner of the account knows that that is my email. So he should know that the remaining thing is the password. But whoever is trying to guess will not know whether it's the email that is wrong or the password that is wrong. All right, this is the two ways to validate. You find the user and then you check if their password match. This is the two validation that is required for login. Now, if the password match, that means the user has an account with you. Number one, the password they sent matches. Number 2. So the next step to do is to generate a token for them. You generate a token. We're going to do that. You generate a token for them and you return a response back to the front end. So this is what authentication means. That token that you are sending back to the front end, you are saying, front end, this token means that this user is authenticated. All right. So we're going to generate the token and also we're going to return the user account. So this is the steps for login. The final step is to generate the token, which we are going to do next. So any question so far before we proceed? Any question on this login, what we just did on this login? Any question so far? Any question on the login? None. All right. So how do we generate tokens? How do we generate token? We use a package called JSON Web Token, JWT for short. So it is called JSON Web Token. So I will say npm install JSON like this, JSON Web and Tokens. Sorry, I can't spell token again. JSON Web Tokens. No, you don't generate a token after registration. What? Yeah. You actually do, but the token you generate, we're going to come to that part. You do, but this token you generate here on login, the token you generate on login, and the token you generate during registration are not the same. The one for registration is used to activate the account or verify the account. So it is called an active token. But the one you generate on login is called an access token. It is a token that when the front end sees it, it will grant the user access to everything. Maybe to view the dashboard, maybe to perform a transaction, maybe to do anything. So the token that is generated on login is called an access token. But the one that you generate, but someone can't log in immediately after registration, would there be two tokens? Now, it depends if that is what your server wants. Now, logging users in immediately after registration means you are not interested in verifying their account. You don't want to verify. So once they just put in their details, what you do is generate the access token automatically. But if you need to verify the account, you don't generate access token immediately. They need to verify the account first and then come back to login. So it just depends on what your platform is. So npm install JSON Web Token. And I'm installing mine. And it has installed. So how do you use JSON Web Token? First, you need to bring in JSON Web Token. So I'll say const JWT is equal to require JSON Web Token. Make sure you install JSON Web Token. So I have mine installed and I'm saving it inside JWT for short. This is the short name, while this is the full name, JSON Web Token. Exactly. You need to check on login. You need to check. We're going to do that if time permits us. So on login, you need to check if their account is verified. And what do I mean? If on your schema, you added verified, by default verified is going to be false. So if you have this key, what
And
you
then
need to do,
my page is not responding.
what you need to do here is say, after this, you know what, even before the password, okay, yeah, after the password here, you can then do a verification and say if user dot verified. I think this is verified. So if user dot verified, no, you check if user is not, yeah. So if user is not verified, then you return. But that is when you're doing verification. If time permits us, we're going to try that. So, but for now, we're not verifying anything. We just want to generate tokens. So I have brought in JWT here. The next thing I want to do is to generate my token. So I will generate 2 tokens. But before I generate this token, to make my token safer, yes, it's the same activation. That's for activating. So you send them an email with a link, and then they click on that link and come back. We're going to try that. So to make my token safer, I'm going to generate random text here. These are just going to be random text, things that nobody can guess. I think I don't need hash. Yeah, let me put the hash, put the at, put so many things. So I use random text to generate that token. The token is this. That token gives the user access to anything on the site. So if a hacker has access to this random text or knows how to generate your token, they can always log into your account and view anything. They don't even need to hack it again. But you need to get random text that you use to generate your token. You can use anything to generate this random text, or you can type it out yourself. So that way, only you are the only person who can decode that token, because it's only you that has this text. Nobody else has this text. So it's only your backend that can decode that token. So I have one for access token. I'll call it access cap lock token. And then I'll do another one for refresh token. I'm going to explain what refresh token is. Refresh token, and it's going to be random, just random as the case may be. There's no maximum length, as the case as you want it, just make it long like that. So I have random text for my token. I have this is for my access token, this is for my refresh token. I will explain refresh token later, but what the front end actually needs is the access token. So I will save this and manually restart my server, because every time you update .env file, you should restart the server. All right, let me wait for MongoDB to connect. So MongoDB is connected. Now I want to create. So what I'll do is I'll say const access token. I don't need a capital letter here. The user's access token is equal to JWT dot sign. I want to sign the user's information. So what it means is I want to put a signature on the user and tell the front end, this user, give them access. I have verified them. I have checked them. They are solid. So grant them access. So how do you sign that? You pass in 3 things here. The first thing you pass in here is the user. So you can either pass in the whole user like this if you want. Pass in the user like this. Now, if you pass in the user like this, what this means is by the time you decode this token, you will know the details of the user. What I mean is you will see all of this information. You will see all of this information. Some persons do it. Some, what they do is they just put only the user ID, user underscore ID. Why am I getting an issue? Okay, say ID rather. So some persons put only the ID. That means when you decode this token that is being generated here, you only see the ID. You will not see anything else. So it's your choice whether you want to see only the ID. Now, some person do is when they get the ID, they use the ID to find that user. Some persons do it, but most times I just put the whole user here. I'll say user. The user is an object. I put the user here. That is what I call optional chaining. This is optional chaining. I used it here. This optional chaining, in case there is no password. This is dot. This dot here means I'm trying to select password from the user object. So, but sometimes there may not be password on that user account. And if there is no password and you are trying to select password, it might cause an error. So in order for it not to cause an error, we give it optional chaining. In case this is optional case, chaining, if let's assume there is no password, optional chaining means forget it, proceed, don't throw an error. But if there is a password, it will pick the password. So just see this as you are trying to, let's say, fall safe or taking precautions so that it doesn't throw an error if you are trying to access a key that is null. You know, if there is no password on the user, if the user has not created a password, the password is going to be null. And if you try to select null, it's going to throw an error. So in order not to see that error, you add optional chaining. That's what we're doing here. So when I did that ID, when I passed in ID and I use user dot underscore ID, I'm trying to select underscore ID. Now you know MongoDB ID comes as underscore ID. So I'm trying to select ID from the user. But I'm being careful. If for any reason this ID is not selected, if for any reason it is null, this should not throw an error. So I'm adding optional chaining. So anytime you are trying to select something from an object, you try to add optional chaining in case it throws error. But it doesn't throw too much error on the back end. It throws much error on the front end. So, but there is no, would I say, harm in being safe. Just add optional chaining. But you can remove this if you want. You can remove it when you are very sure that the user has an ID. You can remove it. Where we do this a lot is on the front end, but I do it every time. Every time. So I'm adding the user ID here. The next thing I want to add is that random text process.env.access token. So I want to add this random test. I want to use this random test to sign the user's account. This is the random test. And finally, I want to add an object to tell it when this token should expire. This token should expire in 5 minutes. So this is how we generate an access token. You put the payload, which is the user information. You want to sign that user's information. You can either sign only the ID or ID and first name or ID and their role or ID, or you just sign everything. It's your choice. You can sign everything. Most times I like signing ID and their role, because I usually use both of them for validation. but you can also sign both of them if you want, and have sign both of them. So let's go with the ID, and after here I will return the access token. Here I'm returning the access token. So this is how we generate token. We're going to test it and see whether this token is being generated. But before then, any question? Any question before we test it to see if the token is being generated? Oh, sorry. Okay, it's fine. The role. Yes. Try to use this every time, even though you are using try catch. Try to use optional chaining. Now you don't know which one might crash it, so try to use optional chaining. Yes, it will return everything. Thank you for reminding us. You need to exclude their password. Now, you know how to do it like this. You know how to do that. But this is what I'll do. I'll say, when I'm trying to find the user, this is the point where I'm trying to find the user. I want to minus, let's use it that way, minus, like exclude the password, minus the password. So I'm selecting the password, I'm saying minus the password. So anytime I try to find the user, I can select and exclude the password like this. So you can do this so that you don't send the user's password. Optional chaining doesn't give you errors. Rather, it helps you in a situation where that key does not exist or it is null. It helps you. Most times, you can't tell. When you start working on large projects, you will know the importance of optional chaining. But believe me, you want to use optional chaining every time. You want to use optional chaining every time. But sorry, hopefully today's video will actually help explain everything. But sorry for getting lost. The select one selects one user. It selects the user, but it's going to select all the information on the user account now. This here references one user. So it's going to select both their email, their password, and everything. But for one user, what you are trying to remove is the password of that selected user. So you are trying to remove the password. All right, so let me test out this login and see that it's actually working. I had always thought sending only the access token is necessary for the response DTO for login for security, so you don't expose the DB schema. Yes. Now, when you say sending only the access token, yes, it is good to send only the access token, but you know, most times on the front end, there are cases where, for example, if you work on front end, there are cases where you see on the dashboard, it will say, hello, David, welcome, David. So the front end will never know what your name is unless the backend is sending both your details and the access token. Because the front end needs to use the user information to do a lot of things on the front end. It needs to. There are sometimes you want to ask the front end to send you the ID of the user. If you have not sent them the details of the user when the user logged in, they will not have access to the user's detail to send it back to you. So there are so many areas where we use the user details. We request that the front end sends us the details of that particular user. And there is no other time that the user is going to get access to that user information except when they log in. So it is when the user logs in, they get to see their database. They see the dashboard because you are sending an access token. They will see the dashboard. But they also need to know the user that logged in. And the only way they will know is when you are sending the access token, you are also sending the user information. But it's not all information you'll be sending. If there's any secret information, you just exclude those ones. Send them the selected few. First name is very, very important. ID is important. Email is important. So you send them those ones that they will use to communicate with the backend. We've already validated this on registration. Now it's very, very important to validate email. That's the first thing you do, which is here. You try to find their account with the email they are sending to you. If no account is linked to that email, then you tell them that this account does not exist. That's the first thing you do before registering their account. And also you need to do it when they are trying to log in. You try to find the user by that email. If that user or if there is no account linked to that email, you return a response that their user account does not exist. You must always validate the email. If I want to remove only the password, what do I do? That means you're not looking at the screen. This is it here on the screen. You select and you remove the password. But there are so many ways to do it. If you want to exclude more than one parameter, it's very simple. All you need to do, just add the details you want to send. For example, I want to send email. So I will say the email is user.email. I want to send email. The next thing I want to send is maybe first name. First name, I will say the first name is user.firstname. Like this. So you list out the things you want to send. You don't want to send all the keys. You select the ones you want to send. I want to send, let's just do it this way since we've already started. So I will send the last name too. The last name is user.lastname, like this. So is there any other information that we need to send? Their state. We need to send their state also. So you can manually select the state and say the state is user.state. This way you help hide the user's information that the front end will not see everything. So I'll save this and then go back to my Postman. I cannot remember. I think I should remember the password I used the last time. I should remember it. Okay. When using .select, if we're selecting more than one, we will use .select. No, you don't have to do this. I just showed you. Just list out the keys you want. But there's a way to do it in the schema and just exclude that one once and for all. It will never return it. We may get there. What if I want to generate access token for specific roles? Yes, you can. You can. Specific role is still the same way. It is the same way. For example, we are generating this token now for whoever is logging in. So it might be the admin that is logging in. This token is for the admin. It might be the user that is logging in. This token is for the user. So whoever is logging in, this token is meant for that person. So this token is not for everybody. It is just for that person that sent you this email and password. So that is who this token is for. But in a case where they have multiple roles, you can generate the ID. Now this ID is for any of those roles they want to use. But in most cases, you don't have a particular user having two roles. It's one role. You are either an admin or a user or a moderator. So an admin can see what the moderator can see. He can also see what the user can see. So I think that would work for you. So on my postman here, I should have CareerEx. Is it? That means this is the old CareerEx cohort. I have to delete this ones. I didn't save the other one. That means I have misplaced that login information. The information I used to log in, I've forgotten it. I need to create account again. So the first thing I want to do is the sign up local host, because I've forgotten what I used to create the account. Localhost port, what is my server running on? 5000. Port 5000 / sign up. And I need to pass in a body here, and it has to be raw JSON. Where you want to integrate a payment gateway, let's hope. Now, a payment gateway is not difficult to implement, but I just hope we'll get to that part. A payment gateway is still the same thing as making a request to a backend. You're still sending this information like this to the backend. The backend handles it and send you back a response. So you're not doing any financial transaction, open and close like that. So the backend of the payment platform is handling that, except you are the person who is supposed to handle the backend, but you are not, since you are calling it integrating. So for people who are going to be building the fintech, you're going to be confirming transactions, like transfer amount from one user to another. So you need to authenticate each user, and you need to decrease one user's account and increase the next user's account. So you are handling the whole financials yourself. You are not integrating to any backend. All right, so yeah, we're going to come to this part. That's the next thing. Example A at gmail.com. Example A at gmail.com. The password is going to be 123456. That's my password. The name is going to be David. The last name is going to be Samson. And the state, let me use Delta. So this is for sign up. I'm going to send these requests again. Let me see that I'm able to sign up. Yeah, this is 201. It means that the account was created successfully. And yeah, you can do this. Yeah, you can. Why? So I have the account created successfully. What I want to do is try and log in. So I'm going to copy this and come back here, change it to post requests. I need to change the sign up to login, and I need to pass in a body. The body has to be raw, and for the body I'm passing in only the email and the password. Only the email and the password. So I'll take away this. This is the email, this is the password. If I send this request, it says 501 illegal argument string undefined. So it means it doesn't have access to the password. What did I spell? Where it is trying to generate user the password. So this is where I'm getting the issue. This is password. Let me be sure that that's what I spelled here. Yeah, it's the same thing. So why are we getting the error? So next is going to be here, user._id. Okay, I just want to confirm where the error is coming from. Illegal argument string and _ac. Check here. So my server is still running, is not crashing, but the error message is not clear. I'm going to try and debug one line by line. So I'm going to do this without the token first. I'm going to do this without the token. Let me see if I will still get the same error. bcrypt.compare password. Okay, I think. Alright, let's send this again. Send. Yeah, I knew it was that password. So I'm going to confirm this is match. That's bcrypt. So let's switch this around. Command X. If it says illegal password, I just hope I did not uncomment it. It says this is undefined. So the password is undefined. Let me console log the password here and see if I'm getting the password. The password is undefined. So I'll say user dot password. Save this. Oh, yes, I know why it is undefined. Because at this point, I am removing the password before it gets here. I've already removed the password. That is the problem. So I'm actually removing the password before I want to use it. So that is why it is showing undefined. What do I do when my server crashes in the course of building? You restart the server. That's what you do. So I'm going to remove this for now because I need to verify the password. I think that's why it's showing undefined. So let's proceed. I'm going to remove that and try and log in again. Right, send this. So it says incorrect email or password. So it means the is match is now a problem. I had to switch it before. Let me take it back. Command X, copy this. So it's supposed to match and then save this. Okay. All right, we are getting to deeper on the code base where the more you look, the less you see. Why is MongoDB taking a while to connect? Alright, it's connected, send again. Yeah, so I've been able to log in, but without the token. So I commented out the token, so I need to bring it back. So I'm going to bring this back, which is the access token, and then bring this back also. Save it. Let's try logging in again. So once this connects, I'll try to log in again. All right, so send. Yeah, so this is how the token will look like. This is the access token. Now, this access token is going to grant the user access to every part of the application on the front end. So the front end is not going to ask any more questions the moment they see the access token. And the information about the user are just basic information, not everything. So you send just the basic information. Now that is it. We normally generate or I do generate a refresh token, because refresh token is equal to, now what is a refresh token? For example, the name refresh. So there's a way that the front end can actually save the user's information. Maybe save it on maybe a, what is it called, local storage or session storage or any of the storage they want to use. And in doing that, if the website refreshes, they might lose that access token. The access token may be gone if the site refreshes. So, but what you want to do is give them a refresh token. Now, in case they lose the access token, they can use that refresh token to generate another access token. So that's what refresh token is used for. It is used to generate another access token. Now, Facebook uses it a lot, which is why you don't log in every time when you are trying to log in to Facebook. They give you 30 days as a refresh token. If you have logged in once, you don't need to put in your password again. They will be using that refresh token. Once they send that refresh token to the backend will decode it and see who the user is, automatically generate an access token for the next 30 days. So after 30 days, you'll be required to put in your password and email login details again. So that's what a refresh token is used for. In most cases, you do send the refresh token to the front end. Most times you save it on the cookies. We're going to talk about cookies. Sometimes you save it on the database, any which way. But a lot of the times, yeah, most if it's a financial application, you don't give access to 30 days. No, you don't. You limit. Most times 5 minutes is enough if it has to do with any sensitive information, financial transaction and all of that. But if it's a social application or a learning platform, something that doesn't involve being looted, how would I call it? If you're not going to loot the user, if you're not going to take anything away from the user, you can give them 30 days. 30 days. Like social platforms do that a lot. You don't need to enter. WhatsApp does it, but I don't think WhatsApp is up to 30 days. So you can reduce this to 7 days if you want. Some people use 7 days. You can. You can also keep it 30 days. But most times, it depends on. Most times you send it to the front end. Other times you don't. It's your choice, however you want. But I do send it to the front. This is called refresh, not refresh. No, refresh. Where is it? Refresh. All right, guys. That is how to log in a user. Any question before are you kidding me? The server is still not started. So any question at this point before we proceed to something else? That is how you log in a user. Yes, I find that CareerEx portal has a few days. Yes. Despite clicking remember me, just a few days it logs you out. Yeah. You can do whatever you want. You're the backend developer, but just be careful with user information. Restrict them as much as possible, and everything good, everything nice. So here you can say login successful. I forgot to add the successful part. So any question before we proceed to something else? Docker is showing on your system. Can we just concentrate? Yeah, it is, but let's do something else. Okay, so any other question before we talk about our project? I want to believe with these few things, you now understand registration, you understand login. We're going to do forgot password and reset password. The three of them will come together, and also send email. The three of them will come together, but these two are very important, the registration and the login. It's very important. Let's see the token codes. Now this is how the token usually appears, like this. I can copy this and send it to you so that you see it better. This is the refresh token, and once the front end sees the access token, it will grant the user access to their dashboard or access to do anything like this on VS Code. So please let's see the token. Okay, how to generate it on VS Code. Now this is how it's generated. Make sure you have installed JSON Web Token, because it's with web token you sign it and generate a token. So make sure you install JWT, and this is how you generate it. I can keep this all in one line, but I like to break it. You're passing in three things. The first thing is the information of the user you want to sign. You can pass in any of the information, but I'm passing in only the ID right now. You can pass in the entire user information. You can pass in the ID and the role. You can pass in name and first name, whatever you want. The second thing is your random text. This random text, you must not lose it. Nothing should happen to it, because this is the text you use to decode the token. You use it to decode any token that has already been generated, because it doesn't end with the user logging in. One step is the login. For example, a user wants to make a transaction. They will log into the application and then they generate access token. By the time they are trying to do a transfer and send amount, they will be sending that token back to you. Anything they want to do, the front end will be sending that token back to you. You will take the token, verify it that that token is your own before you will do any transaction for that person. So you take it, you verify. We're going to do that too. I think in the next week we're going to handle that too. You decode the token. So after generating the token, you need to decode the token and confirm that it is your own. And how do you confirm? You will check it against these things. If it matches this thing, then it is your own. Otherwise, it is not yours. You will reject the request like that. So any question before we call it? No, we're not calling today. We're moving to projects. Any question? Project number 1. Do you have any question? You're supposed to submit milestone 1 by Friday. Milestone 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So please, can you go upward to bcrypt? Bcrypt is here, where we check whether the two passwords match. The password that is sent to us and the password we saved on the database. We try to ask bcrypt to compare both of them and see if they match. That's what bcrypt is doing here. All right. Any other question? Project number 2. Do you guys have any question? Can you please re-explain refresh token and its uses? Most times, when you send the front end the access token, most times it gets expired. That's one. Other times, when they save it and the user browser refreshes or anything happens, they get to lose that access token. So the refresh token is like a mark that tells you this person has logged in before. There is no need for them to send you their email and password again. They have already logged in before. So look at the refresh token you generated the first time. Look at it, decode it. If I'm telling you the truth, then generate a new access token for them. So simply put, the refresh token is used to generate a new access token. Every time maybe the access token expires or it gets missing or is no longer in storage, anything that happens to it, you use the refresh token to generate a new access token. Now, it's not as if you're going to use it to, no. You decode the refresh token to confirm that it's your own. If it's your own, then you generate a new access token. That is how it does. Okay, the question is, don't forget to share. Of course, I will always share. The previous one, I already shared the code of the previous one. I'm going to update this one. You know what? I'm going to update this one. It will still be the same link. You have it already. Are we going to get to the part where we can integrate payment gateway in this project? If you have a payment gateway you want to integrate, like Flutterwave, Paystack, PayExpress, anyone, create an account and bring it. We're going to integrate. I'm going to show you how to integrate it, or I'm going to run it and you see me integrate it. Integrating a payment gateway is very easy. It's not difficult. It's just maybe you put two APIs, one to make the request, which is initiate transaction, two to verify the transaction. That's it. You are not the one handling the logic of the payment. You are not. But the guys who are going to be doing the, what is it called? The fintech, they will be the ones handling the payment gateway. Yes, it is a backup token. Yes, that's like another name for it. It's a backup token. So please, how is the backend connected to the front end? The backend is not connected to the front end. It's not. These endpoints you are building like this, you are going to send it like this. You see the way I'm using it here? This is how you are going to send it to the front end. Now, at the end of this class, I'm going to show you how to save this information and use it to generate a documentation. It is that documentation you are sending to the front end. You will tell them, make a post request to this endpoint, send this information. These are the response you will get. That is it. The front end and the back end are not connected. They are not connected. You just tell them the endpoint to make request to, the type of request to make, and what to send to that endpoint. That is it. Where do we get the token from? You generate the token. You generate it. I'm sure you're not following, otherwise you would have seen how we got it. Are we going to learn how to host the site? Yes, of course. Your project is not complete until you deploy this backend. I'm going to deploy my own when it's done, so you must also deploy your own. So what do we submit? Milestone 1. Milestone 1. I'm going to post milestone 1. You have to submit this. In the fintech project, looks like we are going to have multiple. Yes, you are going to. You know what? I think we should start explaining it. Let's start with project number 1. Please, project number 1, if you have your pen available or a recorder, please, this is the time to bring it out. Some of the things I'm going to say, I may not remember them again, but hopefully I'm recording, so there shouldn't be an issue. But this recording is only for you guys, so you should. I think that is outside. There is no more question again. Is there any question? And not yet in the project. They will add you. Don't worry. They'll add you. So where is my? So please scroll up to milestones. I want to finish my. So no issues. The milestone is supposed to be 3 weeks, so the entire project is divided into 3 parts or 3 milestones. So are we working in the? Yes, you are working on the project individually, but if you want to come together as a group, that's your choice. But I'm judging the project individually. What you sent to me is what I'll judge. Where is this thing I tried to open? Yeah. So my project number 1, what are you expected to do? You are building a fintech wallet system called Payflow. The first thing you want to do is to create your schema. You create a user schema, and you create a wallet schema, and you create a transaction schema. 3 schemas. You are creating 3 schemas. Now, for the user schema, their name, email, password, and wallet reference is compulsory. Now, you don't actually need the wallet reference here, but yeah, you can add it, the wallet reference. Then, for the wallet, when I mean wallet reference, I mean the wallet ID. But you can take that out. You don't need to put it here. I think right now I'm trying to understand. You don't need to put that here. But for the wallet schema, you need to put the user reference. The user reference is the user ID. every user that gets saved, you attach that ID to the wallet before you save the wallet. So as you are creating the user account, you are creating the wallet also immediately. So when you create the user, you get access to the user ID. You use that user ID as the user reference and create a wallet for them before you return the response. Now you're going to have a transaction. For every transaction that is made, you need to know who is the sender and who is the receiver. So you are passing in the ID of the sender, the ID of the receiver, you are saving them, the user ID, the amount they are trying to do, the transaction type, whether it's credit. Now, the person that is sending should be debited. The person that is getting should be credited. So that means for every transaction, you create two transaction, or maybe one. One is enough. Just create one. The type should be credit or debit. One. So like that. And then the timestamp, of course, this should be coming with your schema. You are creating compulsorily the APIs to register, the API to log in, the API to get all user wallet, or no, to get one user wallet, to get a user's wallet. So a user should be able to get their wallet by ID. That is the user ID. By the user ID, you should get the wallet. Okay, sir, I was not that they will add you to a group, don't worry. How about those of us that have not? They will add you, don't worry. What data type will be the transaction type? It's going to be a string. Going to be a string. So this is going to be a string, this is going to be a string, this is going to be amount, number, this is going to be a string, and this one is automatic, you don't have to do that. So that is for project number one. What you are going to do, every user should be able to log in and you should generate token for them. Now the wallet is created at the time you are creating the user. So as you are creating the user, you are creating a wallet for them, and by default their wallet balance should be 0 naira or just 0. By default, at the time you are creating it, it should be 0. The balance here is a number because you can add to it and subtract from it. It should be a number. Secondly, transfer money between users. So a particular user should be able to make a request with amount and the ID of the user that they want to send amount money to. So you can either use the ID or you can either use email here. So either you use the ID of the user or the email of the user that you are sending money to. So you should be able to send. Now when you send the money on the back end, your API should do two things. Number one, find the person that is trying to send, deduct their wallet balance, reduce it by the amount they want to send. Now find the person they are sending to, increase their wallet balance. That's the two things it should do. Now if so please, are you recording this? I'm recording. But I wanted you to record this specifically for you for this part because this recording is almost 1 hour. I don't know if you're going to be listening up to 1 hour. So when you are transferring money to a user, your API is doing two things. Number one, it is going to decode the token. I'm going to teach you how to decode the token. Decode the token of the person trying to make the transfer. Find the user, find their wallet, deduct their wallet balance. Now the person they are transferring to, find that user, find their wallet, increase their wallet balance. That's what this is. So, and then you should have an endpoint to view wallet, whether wallet of the user. So find the wallet by the user ID, and you should also be able to view all transactions and one transaction detail. All transactions and one transaction details. That's all for the project number one. Yeah, I'm going to share the code. The code is still the same link I shared with you before. I'm just going to update this repository with today's code, but the link remains the same. Supermarket or e-commerce. This one is a little bit tough, but I want to explain. You are creating 4 schemas: the user schema, category schema, the product schema, and the order schema. User schema should have information of the user plus the role. The role here by default should be user. Default, it should be user. So that means that you can manually change that user to an admin and it becomes admin. That's how we do admin. You manually do it. First, everybody that is registering by default, their role should be user, but the backend can manually upgrade you from a user to an admin. You have a category schema. The only thing that is necessary is the name of that category. And fine, there you have a product schema. What you need is the name of the product, the price of the product, whether it is in stock or not. So stock will be true or false, and then the category of that schema. The category here is not the name, but if you want, you can use the name. But what I'm actually looking at here is the ID of the category to be here, not actually the name. But if you want to use the name, that's fine. What I want here is actually the ID of this category here. And for the other items, whenever a user wants to buy something, you are going to allow them send you the ID of the product. So all of these products that you're creating, all of them are going to have IDs. So the items here would be an array of all the product IDs. It's going to be an array of all the product IDs. So that means that is the product they selected. So if they send you 4 IDs, those are 4 products they've selected to buy. Now the amount, which is the total for 4 products, they should send you the amount for 4 products. The user, which means the ID of the user who is trying to make that purchase. The ID of the user which is trying to make that purchase. And by default, the first time they are sending it, the status of this order is going to be pending. But if everything completes successfully, then you change the status to maybe put it as will I say on delivery or picked up or even delivered. You can put any of the status that you want. So the endpoint you are building is the endpoint to register, the endpoint to log in. Now there should be an endpoint for admins to create categories, and there should be an endpoint for admins to create products. I'm going to teach you this validation where you validate only the admin. This has to be done by only the admin. Any other person who is trying to do it, it will fail. So it has to be only the admin. So before the time you implement this, I would have taught you that validation. And hopefully by next week we should do that validation. So you should build an endpoint to get all the products and an endpoint to get a particular product by ID. And you should be able to place an order. So these order items, the array of products, the total amount, the user, the status, you should be able to place that order. And you should be able to get all the orders and also get one order by ID. Okay, please, what about those that don't have project? They will add you to a project. We'll add you, don't worry. Okay, that's for e-commerce. Now, you're not going to finish everything in 1 week, so which is why I'm not really bothered. The max you can build at least for this Friday will be the authentication, the login. So build until you get to the authentication. The following week, we must have handled a few things that will allow you finish up. For the real estate, this real estate is also a little complex. If you can, now this total here, by default, I would have expected you to take the IDs here and find all the products one by one to confirm that the product actually exists. Now the total here, you are not the one validating it. The front end should have calculated the total because it is easier to calculate the total on the front end and just send you the total. But for the back end, you will have to find them one by one and then start checking if the amount is corresponding. You don't have to do that. What you must do is check that the product they are sending you, those products actually exist. So you find those products first and be sure they exist. If they don't exist, you return that this product does not exist. And also when you find them, check that the product is in stock. If it's in stock, you proceed. If it's not in stock, you return that the product is not in stock. So, but for the total, the front end is sending you the total amount. Don't worry about it. If they send you a wrong amount, that's not your problem. If the front end has sent it, they will pay for it. For the real estate, it's a little complex. So you're building a home finder. So it means that there's going to be a user schema, a property schema, and a saved property schema. Now this saved property schema means a user can see a property and like it. That's what the saved property means. So for the saved property, this user and property here, I'm referring to the ID of the user, the ID of the property. That's what I'm referring to. The ID of the user and the ID of the property. For this property here, you put a title of the property, the price of the property, location of the property, and the ID of the agent that uploaded this property. You can also add an image if you want. Copy an image of any property anywhere and add it alongside with the property. So, but for the user, you should get user information. Be free to define the information you want, maybe first name, last name, whatever information you want, email and co. But include a role. There has to be a role, whether the person is a user or the person is registering as an agent. So include a role. The person is either registering as a user or registering as an agent. And I'm also going to show you where to post property, you validate that it is only the agent that can post the property. Are we going to do all these projects as part of milestone 1? No, not all of them. I just said here, your milestone 1 might possibly end with the authentication, which is the register. That's where it might end, or depend on how you want to work on it. But registering, you must register first. That's the first thing. Once you set up your server, connect your database, set up your schema, the next thing is to register. You must register first before you do anything else. So possibly that's where milestone 1 will stop. But I'm still thinking about it to divide the project into 3 parts, 3 milestones. I just hope everybody is taking note. If I have not explained your own project very well, please ask a question. What if we finish before? It's fine. If you finish before 1 week, it's fine. But the maximum is 3 weeks. The maximum is 3 weeks. And I'm going to review your project. Any project that I find I don't understand, or any issue, or maybe the project is too good to be true, I'll call you. You have to do a presentation. We'll bring the CareerEx team and you do a presentation of your project. All right. So the e-learning platform. The category in the second project. The category in the second project is just the name of the, what is it called? What is the second project? The product. No, product can be, for example, if you are into, this is e-commerce, right? Yeah, this is an e-commerce. If you are into household items, there are different categories of household items. There could be kitchen utensils, there could be upholsteries, there could be electronics, there could be clothing. So those are the categories. The admin is supposed to create categories. Let's say clothing or kitchen utensils. When you are posting a product, you need to define which category does this belong to. If it's clothing, you find the category which is clothing, put the ID here. If it's kitchen utensils, you put the kitchen utensils category ID here. So however product you want to use, depending on the product you're going with. So this is a general e-commerce. You can pick a particular section. If you're working with mobile phones, whatever you want, electronics, whatever e-commerce you want to go with. So the category here are just for different sections of the e-commerce. I think I've explained real estate. The e-learning. For e-learning platform, of course, you need to have the user schema, the course schema, and the enrollment schema. This enrollment schema, the user here means the user ID. The course here means the course they are enrolling for, the ID of the course. So for courses, you need to put the title of the course, description of the course, and the ID of the instructor. The ID of the instructor. The ID of the instructor is gotten here. So in your user schema, feel free to put the user information you want, but you must include the role. The role can either be a student or an instructor. You can put admin if you want. You can put admin. So, but by default, anybody who's registering, by default, their role is going to be a user. But you can manually change it to instructor. Maybe say you have an endpoint that actually updates the user role from user to instructor. You can also have another endpoint that will also update the user role from user to admin, however you want. But by default, everybody that's registering the first time is a user. Okay, after that, the next thing, you build an endpoint for authentication, the login and the register. You build an authentication to post courses, and only the instructor is allowed to do that. And also build an endpoint to get all courses or get one course by ID. And also build an endpoint to enroll into a course, and only the student is allowed to do that. And then get an endpoint to get all enrollments, and then get a course by ID for a student that have been enrolled. So any student that have enrolled for any course, you can get the courses that that student have enrolled for. The ID here can either be the student ID. You use the student ID to find the course that the student has enrolled for, because here you are passing in the ID of the student. Here, when they are placing their enrollment, you are passing in the ID as the user. So when you are trying to find them here, you are finding by that same ID that was used to create this enrollment. Okay. What is the milestone 1? Is it the task on the project PDF? Milestone 1 is simple. Set up your server. Now I don't know where it will end, but set up your server, set up your script, set up .env, connect to MongoDB database, set up your schema, and possibly build your authentication, login, and registration like that. That should be milestone 1. That means for user, we'll have student, instructor, and admin. Yes, you should. Yes, you should. And Mongoose has a discriminator function that allows inheritance. If you can, please do. If you cannot, do it the manual way. Anyway, so I don't know how, if this question is allowed, but pardon me, for the payroll project, you said for the wallet reference, it should be used user ID. Is the ID gotten from testing on Postman? Yes, of course, but you're not getting that ID there. You're not getting that ID there. When you are creating the user, the first time, what will happen first? Here it says the user registration will happen first. Before you return a response, you create a wallet there. While you are trying to create a wallet, what will be the user, the information of the user, is going to be the ID of the user that was created before. And I'm sure I showed you how to pick out the user ID. So this is how I was able to pick out the user ID from the user. So what will be your user here is going to be the user ID. So that means when the user is registering, after you save the user, the next thing is to create their wallet still on the same API. That API will save the user and save their wallet. But in the wallet, when you are saving it, the information called the user is the user ID, and the balance is going to be 0, like that. Will the milestone be stated on the website so that we'll be sure? Yes, I'm going to post the milestone by tomorrow. Also, is the project going to be modified, have more features? Let's complete this one first. If we have more time, we can actually update whatever we want. But for now, just try and complete this in the next 3 weeks. The next 3 weeks. All right. Finally, for project 5. Project 5, you are building sport betting platform. You are going to have 3 schemas: the user schema, the game schema, and the bet schema. So for the user, put the user information, any information you want, and put their wallet balance. Now, if you can create another schema separately for the wallet, or just put a key in the user information and call it wallet balance. So you should also create a schema for games. You should have the teams that are playing, the odds, and the results. So whatever teams that are playing, you put it there. Team will be an array, maybe Man U and Chelsea. That's the 2 of them in one array, or use an object for that. But array is better. Array for teams. And then the odds can be a string. Put your odds as string. The result is going to be a string if you want, or you can use an array 0 0 or 1 2 separate with comma, as the case might be. So the team is an array, this is a string, this is possibly an array, or however you want to display the result. The bet, the user here is the ID of the user who wants to place the bet. The game here is the ID of the game they want to place a bet for. The outcome here is possibly whatever the person wants to suggest. This is what it is going to be. It's going to be 1-1 or 2-1, whatever you want to stake. And then the stake here and the payout. Feel free to create these schemas however you want. I don't used to play bet, so I can't really tell what should be in all of these things. If you notice, I don't even know what to be here, but I know they're all strings. I don't know which one is a number, which one is true or false. I think the outcome should be what their prediction is. The stake is how much they are putting, The payout is how much they are expecting to get if the prediction comes to pass. So, but we're going to find out before the end of 3 weeks. Build an endpoint to register, build an endpoint to log in. Now, admin should be able to post games. Only admin will post games. And then the user, everybody should be able to get all games or get one game by ID. And they should be able to post their bets. And then everybody should be able to get all the bets or get one bet by ID. Like that. So I think, and also they can update the result of each game. So after you post the game and you put the result to be 0-0 the first time, you can come back and update the result to be 1-0 or 2-0 as the game proceeds. So build an endpoint to update the result of the games. And also you should be able to get the user wallet. So either if you are creating a different schema for the wallet or you are attaching it to the wallet, you should be able to get the user and see what their wallet balance is. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've tried to explain the project. Any other question? Before we call it a day? We have a lot to learn. I just hope lectures are supposed to end next week, but if we don't finish next week, we might possibly enter week 11. So we need to learn how to send emails. We need to learn how to do forgot password and reset password. That is 3. We need to learn how to decode a token, and we need to how to make sure that it is only the person we want, maybe the admin or the instructor, to do it. That is 5. We need to learn MVC. That is 6. So these 6 topics or 6 items, can we learn them all in 2 classes in 4 hours? Nope, I doubt. If you divide them into 3, 4, it cannot work. Let's see if we're going to finish in 4 classes. All right. Some of us who do not have project, what do we? Please contact the course rep. Just tell her you don't and give her your name. I think she made a post about it. Put your name there. You're going to get a project. My question is on my assignment submission and grading. Which of them? For those that I did not see the assignment the first time, I'm going to grade it when I start grading this new assignment. I'll grade it. But some persons don't know how to copy GitHub link. Sometimes they put their GitHub repo as private. Sometimes it's empty, and that's why I don't usually see it. So, but any assignment you submitted and have not graded, I'm going to grade them. But if you are just coming, like you're just joining us, forget about any assignment you have missed. Focus on the project. This project alone is half of your entire score. Half of your entire score. So if you complete this project, it means you've got 50% of your score and you are worthy of your certificate. Not actually the assignment alone. This project alone is going to give you your certificate if you finish it. So if there's any assignment you've missed so far, you can forget about it, because I'm sure we'll finish giving out assignments. Focus on the project. Probably we can start the class earlier. I just hope so. We have a lot to cover. I said to you, yes. Can we choose another project? No, for now, except you want to choose a project I will not review. I will be the one to review this project one by one. If you add any more project to it, I may not be able to review all. So I can only review 5. And I'm actually the one picking that 5 for you guys, because I don't want to have all of you working on the same thing. I want to have different projects, but the maximum is 5 I can review. Do any one. Now, if you do one, there's every possibility that you can build any of these projects that I've listed here. So whatever project you're assigned to, don't bother about changing. Build that one first. Prove to me that you can do it first. Finish it. Like if you can finish it, then you can build any other project that is listed here. All right. So in the absence, is there any other question before we end the class? Let me try pushing this code to GitHub. And we need to finally, we need to learn the GitHub command and also deploy this project. So that's 7 things. We have 7 things to learn. We might be learning to the end of the entire program, because we will not end next week. And I'm not sure we're going to end next upper week or the upper week. So hopefully, let's see how fast we can go. All right. Let me just wait for this to push, and we are done. Okay, so I've updated the repo. It is still the same link as before. If you come to resources, this is the link. It's the same link. If I click on it, it's going to open GitHub. And if you go to my index file, you should see the login there. So this is the login. It has been updated. It's the same link. All right. So, any other question before we call it a day? I've just explained to you now. If you can, first, the first week goal for project 4. If you can, set up your server, set up your script, set up your schema, connect to MongoDB, build authentication. At least that should cover milestone 1. That should cover milestone 1. But it depends on, after I've been able to split it into 3 equal parts, I will then tell you whether authentication is part of milestone 1 or not. But for now, if you can, just build authentication. Let the goal be to reach authentication. That should be your goal. Set up your server, set up .env. Make sure you're using .env. All right. In the absence of any more questions, please, you can drop a thumbs up so that we end today's class. In the absence of any more questions, please drop a thumbs up so that we can end today's class. And I hope you are learning, especially for those who started as absolutely newbies. I hope you are learning, and also don't be afraid to take up any role, whether you know it or you don't know. The truth is, half of the time, what they might ask you to do, you may only know authentication. That's all you will know. But as the time proceeds, you are going to understand the project gradually and you will build other things. So don't be scared of taking up any role. All right, guys. Bye and see you next week. Bye. Kinde, is it now that we are leaving? All right, use the mic. Where is it? Kinde, use the mic. Unmute yourself and use the mic. After that, we'll end the class. Is he here? Oluwatobi, unmute yourself and use the mic. We don't want to exceed 7 o'clock. It's already 7 o'clock. The assignment is your project. The assignment for this week is your project. Build milestone 1 of the project and submit. That is the assignment for the week. He's not here. All right, guys. Bye. See you all next week. Bye.